Hi everybody, thank you for joining me for another episode of Sip and Simmer with me, Anita Manager. We are in a pretty rough space right now, so I just want to reiterate that we are only here to talk about good things and have a good time and share a laugh and a drink. So my shout out tonight is going to be for all of you. I want to thank all of you for watching and keeping up with Sip and Simmer. But more importantly, I really want to thank everybody for staying home and really abiding by what they are suggesting that we do. It's a scary time and we want to flatten the curve as soon as possible. We want to make sure that we can get back to our regularly scheduled lives. And with everybody staying home, that is going to get us there a little bit faster. So thank all of you for staying home and tuning in with me. So tonight we are going to be making a tiramisu, and that is a coffee flavored dessert. So I thought what goes better with that than a coffee drink. So tonight I'm going to be making an Irish coffee, which is really simple to make, but it's delicious. It's got coffee, whiskey, and I put a drop of heavy cream and a little bit of cinnamon. So let's get that going. I have my Irish coffee glass, and in that glass I'm going to put in 1.5 ounces of whiskey. And then I'm gonna get coffee straight from the pot. And I'm gonna fill my cup up. And then I'm going to put a drop of heavy cream and a dash of cinnamon. And that's it. That is an Irish whiskey, and it's super easy to make, and you can drink them for breakfast since we're all stuck at home. It's delicious. Okay, so a tiramisu is a really easy dessert to make at home. It's easy to make with your kids, and it can be a lot of fun because it's layered like a lasagna, so you can switch it up and do your own thing. You can add different elements to it, but I am going to keep it simple with one small twist that I like to change up. Okay, so I've got a small saucepan here, and I'm going to take 6 egg yolks, and I'm going to get those directly into my pot. And then I'm going to add 3/4 cup of sugar. Now, before I even turn it on, I'm going to make sure that I stir that up and get all of that sugar nice and wet from the egg yolks. I do not know any pet-friendly beverages, but maybe next week we can make a pet-friendly dessert, because I have made biscuits for my dogs before. Okay, so I'm gonna get the flame going. I'm gonna have it on a medium heat, and I'm just gonna keep on stirring until the sugar starts to dissolve. So when I'm cracking my eggs, I usually do it into a bowl like you see here. Just to make sure that I don't get any shells in it, because if you do, you could just wet your finger and scoop out the shells. And then when you are separating them, you can do the water bottle trick if you're not really comfortable going into the half of the eggs. And what we're going to do is we're going to save our egg whites that we put to the side today for our dessert that we're going to be having tomorrow. So make sure that you log in and see what we're making tomorrow with all those delicious egg whites. And also, my Venmo is Anita_Manager, and I say it all the time, but all that money goes directly to making all of these desserts and drinks for us to share together. Alright, so my sugar has already dissolved into the egg yolks, and now I'm going to take 3/4 cup of milk, and I'm just going to slowly drizzle that in. The reason that you drizzle this slowly into the eggs is because you don't want it to cool down. You want it to maintain that hot temperature and continue to cook the eggs, because this is the only cooking that they're going to be getting. So it's going to thicken up as you add the milk, and that is exactly what we want. It's going to be a really thick consistency when we take it out of the fridge. And it's going to have that beautiful yellow color that you see in a tiramisu. And also, the longer that you take doing this, the the faster it'll thicken, so you don't have to cook it for as long. Thank you for loving my dress and my makeup tonight. I usually, when I do the show, do my makeup and then pick out my dress. Tonight I decided to pick out my dress and then match my makeup to the dress. It sounds like the smarter thing to do, but I rush into things a little quickly. All right, so this is just going to finish heating up now. I'm going to get rid of some of these bowls. And then I'm going to get a clean bowl to sieve the egg mixture into, because that's going to go directly into the refrigerator. And you're going to want that to cool for a minimum of 1 hour. I did mine probably like 4 hours ago because I wanted to make sure that it was really cold. You want it to be the same temperature as your mascarpone, so that way they incorporate easily together. All right. So from here, I'm going to take my sieve. I'm going to place it over the bowl. And we are now at a great consistency for me to pour it in. So I am going to pour this directly into the sieve, into the bowl, so that way I can put it into the refrigerator to cool. Now, the reason that you do this is because you want to make sure that there's no chunks from the eggs. If you did it right, you shouldn't really have any chunks of the eggs, because that means that they start to scramble and you didn't add the milk fast enough. So really at the top, it should just be a little bit of that foam from stirring the eggs. Okay, so then this is going to go directly into your refrigerator for a minimum of an hour. I would suggest 2. So we're going to put that there. Hi, Erin. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so once that has come out of the refrigerator, I'm going to put it into this bowl so you guys can really see what it's going to look like. It's going to be a pretty thick, custardy texture, just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold it, all right? Now, if you've seen Schitt's Creek, folding is not as difficult as they make it seem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half of my mascarpone. I've got a full pound of it here. And you're just going to start to cut through. So you're going to go around the bowl and then down the center. And what that's going to do is it's also going to help keep the aerated bubbles that you got from whisking the eggs and the sugar together. So once that starts to break down, I'm going to add the second. I'm not going to fully mix it in before I add the second one, so that way I can keep that texture going. So I'm going to do that probably like 10 to 15 times, and making sure that I'm scooping down the center to really get the rest of that mascarpone mixed in. Okay, so I'm going to get that second half, and that's going to go right in there. And I'm going to take a little coffee break. I love whiskey and coffee because you really get the flavor of the whiskey without getting that after of the whiskey. It's very soothing, and on a rainy, gloomy day, it's nice and refreshing. Okay. So once this is nice and smooth, I'm going to start to put my tiramisu together. While I'm mixing this, if I could have somebody help me and just grab me my hand mixer from right over there, because we also have to mix our whipped cream. Now, when I made the whipped cream for the Death by Chocolate, the trifle, it's in the second drawer. I didn't put any sweetener or vanilla into it because there was enough flavor coming from the cake and the brownies and everything. For this, what you want to do is you want to add a little bit of flavor to the whipped cream because there is not a lot of different flavors, because you're really going to get that coffee flavor and that whiskey flavor, or I'm sorry, the rum flavor from the soak that you're gonna put on the ladyfingers, but that's pretty much the extent of the flavor outside of the sweet custard and mascarpone. So it's gonna be really creamy, so I really like to add that extra bit of flavor. So in the whipped cream, I'm going to add to 1.5 cups of heavy cream, a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm gonna pour that in before I even start mixing it, so that way all the flavors are all incorporated. Okay, so this is just about smooth. And now I'm gonna cheat, and I'm gonna use my whisk, just to really get it nice and smooth. All right, that's perfect. Okay. So this is gonna set a little bit more once we put it back in the refrigerator because the mascarpone is nice and thick and then the custard is thick too. So now I'm going to take my electric mixer and my little trick that I like to do with the dish towel. And I'm just going to put my hand mixer in, and I'm going to cover the mixing cup, and I'm just going to turn it on. And like I say every time, you want to make sure that you don't over whip your whipped cream because then you're going to have butter. And this is creamy enough without adding a layer of butter to a tiramisu. Alright. We're just about there. See, I never understood buying whipped cream when it's so easy to make it. And you can make it ready right before you serve your dessert, and it's just so much better and it's more fresh. Okay, just a little bit more. And I actually think that you might be saving a little bit of money too because it's just heavy cream as opposed to buying it done. This recipe should yield at least 6 servings. That is perfect. Okay. So I'm gonna put my dirty towel over there. It's 6 servings if you have a very hefty serving. If you're doing like a traditional serving, this should get about 10. Okay, so I've got my homemade whipped cream. I've got the egg yolk, sugar, and mascarpone mixture. And now I'm just going to take another bowl and I'm going to put in 1/4 cup of espresso. And if you have kids, I would leave this part out, or you can put it in, it's all up to you. This is 2 tablespoons of dark rum. So I'm gonna pour that in. Perfect. And now I just need my lady fingers and my tray. I'm gonna be doing it in this container because I want it to be really tall and I want to be able to see all the different layers. You can do it in like a standard baking dish or pretty much anything, but I like to do them in a more narrow container so that way you can see more of it. Okay, so from here what you're gonna do is I've got cocoa powder in a little sieve here, and I'm just going to dust the bottom of the tray with that. You really don't want to put too much. You really just want to coat the bottom. And then from here, I'm going to take the lady fingers that have already been sliced in half, and I'm going to very quickly dip them into the espresso and rum mix and put them directly in. And if your container doesn't fit them perfectly, lady fingers are really soft, so it's very easy to just tear them apart and really get a full layer going. And you're pretty much gonna do this like you would do a lasagna. So you're gonna start with one thing and work your way up and then continue to go. Okay, so there's that. Just gonna clean my hands off. And now I'm just gonna scoop everything in. So from the lady fingers, I'm going to do a few tablespoons of the mascarpone mixture. And really make sure that you cover the lady fingers so that way they absorb some of this also, aside from just the coffee mix. That looks beautiful. So from there, I'm gonna add my whipped cream. Now, this is a little bit more difficult because you've got another liquid below it. So what I do is I just do a couple dollops and then I blend them together. Everybody say hi to my mom. She's a little late, but we'll forgive her tonight. Okay. So that is in. Perfect. All right, and now I'm gonna do another layer of the cocoa powder. And then I'm gonna go back in with my lady fingers. This is a super easy recipe to do with your kids, and they may not necessarily like it, so that leaves more for you. Okay. So I've got my second layer of fingers going in. And you want to make sure that you're quickly dipping the lady fingers into the liquid because you don't want them to fall apart. You still want to be able to have the texture of the cookie in your tiramisu when you're finished. If you let them soak for too long, they just disintegrate because they're a very airy, I guess they're a cookie, but it's more of like a little bread. All right, so I'm gonna go back in with my mascarpone mix and I'm just gonna drizzle that in. Nice. And then we go back with the whipped cream. And like I said, with the whipped cream, you want to make sure that you just dollop it. So that way you can spread it so you get that nice layer going. You want a little bit of everything with every bite. So making sure that this is nice and level is important. Now, I didn't do it because somebody requested that I not do it. But my favorite thing to do with the tiramisu is my little trick is I will zest an orange and I'll put that into the whipped cream after it's already been mixed to give it a really like light refreshing flavor in conjunction with the coffee and the cream. Oh, it's delicious. I didn't do it tonight, but it's a great addition, trust me. Okay, so before I do that, I'm gonna get the cocoa powder in. And I'm gonna do another layer. And as this fills your container, you get to really enjoy seeing all of the layers. Okay. So keep a rag handy because that liquid gets everywhere. All right, I'm gonna do another layer of the custard, and we're getting close to the top. So I'm gonna need another package of the lady fingers. Okay. So this is getting there. Now the other important thing is you don't want to serve this directly after making it. So you're gonna wanna make this ahead of time. I usually suggest making it at least 3 hours beforehand so that way all the flavors can melt together. Okay. And a little bit more lady fingers. I'm gonna really try and fill up this container so that way we can enjoy more of it. Okay. We're just about there. And if you look, I'm literally just wetting just the underside, so the other side is still dry. So that way we get some flavor from the cocoa powder and the custard. Thank you, Bartender's Edge. All right, so we're getting to the top here. So I'm gonna finish off my custard mix here. Perfect. I'm gonna level that out. And then I'm gonna come back in. Before I do my whipped cream on my final layer, I'm going to do a layer of cocoa powder. And I'm just gonna take my leftover whipped cream and I'm gonna dollop it right into the center. Just like that. I'm gonna clean up the edge from the cocoa powder. And that is my tiramisu. I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator for at least an hour. And you're gonna wanna store it in the refrigerator, and I wouldn't keep it for longer than 2 or 3 days because it starts to sour. So I hope everybody enjoys their tiramisu, and I hope everybody enjoys their Irish coffee. Before I say goodbye, I'm going to let everybody know that my favorite staff member is all of them, because they are taking time out of their day and really helping me. I really couldn't do this without them. And I really appreciate not only you guys for coming in and watching, but I really appreciate all the hard work that they're putting in, because this may be only like a 20-30 minute show, but there's a lot of behind the scenes. So make sure that you save your egg whites from tonight, because tomorrow we're gonna be making a Russian pavlova. It's not easy to say, but it's really easy to make. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for coming in.